Pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly, Carlos Brown. Here's what's coming up. I simply call it the guest menu. Southern University defensive line coach, Coach Demarcus Miller. He visits the Carlos Brown Show. Plus, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network, our basketball analyst, Coach Vann Pettaway, joins us. And last but not least, A.D. Willa Brown. That's the guest menu for January the 20th, right here on the Carlos Brown Show. Here's simply what's trending. Southern University releases their 2024 football schedule. We'll get into that. Finally, getting it done. A very interesting schedule and a good schedule, just in my humble opinion. Southern University men's basketball, oh my, loses in overtime to Bethune-Cookman, up by double digits, but hey, Bethune-Cookman gets it done. A lesson learned? We shall see. Coach Pettaway will break down that basketball game for us. And then last but not least of what's trending, the Bayou Classic on the basketball court. A huge matchup, both on the women's side and the men's side. Grambling State University hosts Southern University. They make the trek up to North Louisiana. And as I've said before many times, North Louisiana is totally different than South Louisiana. That's what's trending. We'll bring in the panel now. Charles Edmond, Coach Vann Pettaway. Gentlemen, good morning. Quick question. Are you staying warm? Oh, my goodness. What a Arctic blast this past week. But good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, in Huntsville, it's our city has been locked down for the last 2 or 3 days. Not much traffic out. I think the storm hit us on Monday, and it's been pretty cold out. Schools have been out, so had Alabama A&M needed to get out to travel this week, they would have been stuck because transportation was not a way to do it this week. So we were fortunate the schedule worked in their favor. They would not have to miss any games.
You know, Charles, the older I get, God bless me, I don't like cold weather at all. I've worked outside for years, but now I'm inside. But, man, I don't think you ever get used to it.
No, I hate it. And I'm from the Midwest, and so every year this time in St. Louis, you got 20 inches of snow, you've got below freezing, you've got ice, and here we are in Mississippi, and we're getting this stuff. It feels like Alaska to me. I hate it. Don't want to drive in it. People don't know how to drive in it. Stay off the roads. School just started here on Thursday. Was supposed to start on Tuesday. So you look, most of the state's been paralyzed for the most part. Grocery stores empty, streets empty, but it's going to get better. It's going to warm up, but then we got rain coming, so you can't fool Mother Nature.
Right, and I think the biggest thing in the South, Carlos, the southern states are not prepared for just a little snow and ice. See, we get like 3 or 4 inches, it paralyzes our city, and that's nothing for the Midwest. They get 3 or 4 feet and they still function. But, just a little snow and a little ice, it paralyzes our cities because we don't have the equipment. Because it doesn't make sense for them to invest in that kind of equipment because you're not going to get these snowstorms or ice storms that often. So I see their rationale, but that's the reason why schools have been closed. We've been out for a whole week. They have not been able to go to school all week.
Well, it's all about making adjustment, and you're absolutely right. The deep South, the South shall rise again, and the temperature in Baton Rouge, it'll be in the 70s. My goodness! But anyway, on to what's trending, our topics. We're going to definitely get into some basketball. Coach Pettaway will break down, that Bethune-Cookman and Southern University basketball game. Also on the women's side, some winnable games, some games that they didn't get a chance to win. But guess what? It's all about getting a split on the road. But, for Southern men, they had an opportunity to win both games. But, we'll bring up the 2024 Southern University football schedule, and I'll bring up my information as well. A very interesting schedule as we see. August the 31st, they start off with McNeese. And then you got the Pete Richardson Classic. You can see that as well. September the 2nd. Then you got, of course, JSU, Prairie View A&M. You see Nicholls State on there. Texas Southern, October the 12th. Homecoming, Alcorn State. And I guess that's why Charles is shaking his head. But you know what, Coach Pettaway? Somebody has to be the homecoming opponent.
Yep.
Somebody. So people just need to get off of that. It's better to have an Alcorn at a homecoming game than, let's say, Lincoln University. And I think it's going to be packed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you see October the 26th on the road in Tallahassee, defending Black College National Champions. And then, of course, November the 2nd, Southern University. I'm going to have to get to the budget director and see if I can get to Huntsville. It's been a while.
Come on. Bring it on.
And then November the 9th, you got Bethune-Cookman. Then you got UAPB, and then the Bayou Classic. But Savannah State, first-time opponent in the Pete Richardson Classic. So the 2024 football schedule, I think it's a very good schedule. You got two Southland teams you're playing. You're starting off with McNeese. Then you have Nicholls State. Your SWAC opener is against Prairie View. And then, of course, now I've got to make adjustments. I always talk about making adjustments, so I got to make adjustments as well. That Jackson State game, to me, should always be in October. But it's in September, September the 14th. But other than that, you've got a new coach, Coach Graves. I think it's going to be a very, very important and outstanding 2024 football season. Charles, your thoughts on the schedule?
Well, I'm saying kudos to Southern University and other schools for releasing these schedules this early. Typically we don't get these schedules until March, somewhere thereabouts. But you're hearing information about when is homecoming for some of our schools. Ours is going to be UAPB first week in October. So I'm glad that Southern, and ours isn't quite released yet. I think in the next few days it will be. But I'm glad to see Southern release their schedule this early so people can plan and make their hotel arrangements and all of that, make their travel arrangements. But a good schedule. Clearly Jackson State early on. I'm like you. I've always liked that Southern Jackson game kind of in the middle of the season. But I think it's a really good schedule. It's going to be a challenging schedule. And for the Braves, first-year head coach Ed Thomas and Coach Graves on their homecoming, that means it's a long day for me on the Bluff, because the last time I was down there for homecoming, I was in traffic 2.5 hours to get on campus. So I kind of expected probably even worse than that, I would imagine, if this game is huge implications for the West. But I like the schedule, and I'm looking forward to just seeing what Southern looks like, as well as Grambling. I think that Bayou Classic is going to be something special as well, with two former Southern coaches, at Grambling. So I like the schedule, and I'm looking to see how it all unfolds.
Right. And Alabama A&M they did a schedule release Tuesday.
Yeah.
They released their football schedule on Tuesday. So I'm like you, Charles. I like the fact that they're getting it out early, because Tuesday night we were on the phone, we were on a conference call, and my brothers and we getting our trips lined up for football. So that's a good thing for the fans, because you can get it in early, especially for hotels and reservations and things like that.
Yeah, boy, it's interesting, and we're getting some feedback in the chat room about Southern and Jackson State. I'm a traditionalist. They love to see that game in the first week of October, period. So kind of looking at that. VW says, yeah, love that game being played in October, but it's on the schedule as it is, and so you gotta get it done. Now, someone else mentioned who was it that playing Alcorn at homecoming? Are they trying to get Coach Graves in trouble? No,
No.
no. Again, they're trying to be facetious.
Yeah.
Again, you gotta play the games when they're scheduled.
Yeah.
And for Coach Graves, who we had on a couple of weeks ago, that staff and those players, they're going to welcome the challenge. And if you look back at 2023, it was a thorough beating by Alcorn State on Southern University. So I'm not going to say payback, but they're going to remember that. But it's on the schedule that day, homecoming. So you got to play them one game at a time, Coach Pettaway.
Oh,
You
yeah.
go 1-0 for the week. So Southern University releases their 2024 football schedule. Now, on the men's side in basketball, Southern loses in overtime to Bethune-Cookman University. I watched it on the CAT Network.
Yep.
Southern University had control of the basketball game for the majority of the game, Coach Pettaway. But in overtime, it slips away, 83-81 to Bethune-Cookman. A lesson learned, I guess a painful lesson, correct, Coach?
Well, yes, because, Carlos, I look at it more this way. Bethune-Cookman won the game versus Southern losing the game. Okay, Bethune-Cookman, they slow walked them down. And I'm like you, I watched it on their network. So I was able to watch the game, and I was real impressed with how Southern was playing on the road against in a hostile environment. But what happened to them when I think the momentum switched when Bethune-Cookman tied the game up in regulation, and then Joseph had a couple of plays where he went to the basket, and it didn't go the way he wanted it to go. But when you look at the overtime, Bethune-Cookman won the game from the free throw line. You know, they shot free throws. They were 7 out of 10 in free throws in overtime now. So and Southern was only 4 for 7. So for the game, when you only shoot 67% from the free throw line, that will get you in a close ball game. Because when you look at the scoring, Joseph led Southern with 31 points. Davis had 20. Number 22 had 12. And Bethune-Cookman had 4 people in double digits. So they spread their offense around a little bit more. And for the first time, Southern's bench did not come through like they've been coming through. Southern only had 10 points off of their bench, and Bethune-Cookman, I think they had like 19 points off of their bench. So the first time they were not getting points from their bench. So that and poor free throw shooting, I think that was the difference down the stretch. In this ball game. But you don't have to panic. I don't think the Jaguar Nation need to panic now, because when you see Southern play, they play real sound, fundamental basketball. They get after it on the defensive end. They just came up short in this game on the road because they were not able to put down free throws consistently during the ball game. And then in overtime, they didn't get to the line enough to even get them, because Joseph had a great game going. They couldn't stop him. They haven't stopped Joseph yet. But he didn't get enough attempts in overtime to get to the free throw line.
Coach Pettaway, interesting point. Free throws, and if I'm looking at it right, 19 of 28.
Right.
67%. Boy, Bethune-Cookman. Well, I'm not going to say home cooking. You know, I'm not going to get on the refs. But 36 attempts.
Right.
You know, and I know some people will say, well, wait a minute. Also, second point, a Southern alum texted me, and he thought, in his opinion, that Southern maybe should have went into a zone in the second half when Bethune-Cookman was making that run. Now, I'm no basketball coach. That's why you're on here, paid the big bucks. What do you think about that? A zone versus to me, Southern's man-to-man is their mantra to me.
Right.
Defensively.
Now, as an outsider, I can't say they should have gone to a zone because I don't know how effective Southern is in a zone. You know, that may have been that may have worked against Southern going to a zone. Now you got to look at it now. Their man-to-man got them a lead. Why would I switch? They were doing a pretty good job in that now. So you know, it's easy to say that, yeah, you go to the zone. You don't know if the personnel that he had to play the zone, if they were going to be ready that night. And you don't want to get Bethune-Cookman going. And see, this is the other thing you got to look at. When you look at the free throw disparity, Southern never had to foul to get back in the game. So these free throws, this was just how the game was being played, where Bethune-Cookman was getting to the line more. And Southern, the Jaguars had to take advantage of the few free throws that they were getting by shooting a better percentage. You only lost this game by 2 now. So, you know, 3 free throws and you win instead of 3 misses. So I think Coach Johnson believes in his man-to-man defense, and I think you stay with your strong suit. I didn't see where a zone would have helped them. I just didn't see where a zone would have helped Southern.
Well, and you know, Charles, and Coach Pettaway, I just say you give credit to Bethune-Cookman.
Right.
You know, they won it. Southern could have, should have won it, but they didn't. It got away. You know, you could say a lesson learned. And then also I had to sit back and think, win at home and split on the road.
Right.
That's what they accomplished. But I could also see, Coach Pettaway, that it was right there for Southern.
Right
there for him. So, yeah, you look at it.
Yeah, this one got away. That's how you have to look at it. This one got away. I know in that locker room, he talked to them because I promise you now, the Jags played well enough to win that game. Bethune-Cookman made plays down the stretch to force it to get it to overtime, and then they won it from the free throw line.
We'll take a break and we'll come back. We'll talk with Charles Edmond and get his take on what has happened so far. Also, on the women's side, Southern University dropped their first game of that Florida trip to FAMU 59-53, but then they come back and they get a split. They defeat Bethune-Cookman 71-66. So Southern University is still early. A lot of teams are battling, and we said it was going to be a competitive conference race. We can see that. We'll also take a look at the SWAC standings, albeit early, very competitive. That's the word I would use. We'll take a timeout. You're watching the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora. as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Majesty is a premium health and wellness tea line focused on bringing delicious yet healthy tea blends to the community. Filled with an abundance of vitamins and antioxidants, we work to blend teas with exotic spices and fruits to produce scrumptious and wholesome beverages. So check us out at mymajesties.com. That's MyMajesties.com. My Majesties, an Urban Passport member.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. And also the show is broadcast live on Instagram. I'm kind of looking at it now. Good picture, good sound, good show. Also on the Black College Sports Network, broadcast scheduled today, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Albany State at Benedict. Doubleheader, both women's and men's basketball. 3 p.m. Eastern, Clark at Edward Waters, doubleheader, women's basketball and men. And then at 4 p.m. Eastern, Morehouse at Savannah State. Wow. Right here on the Black College Sports Network. Basketball galore, Coach.
Right, they're getting it
in. You're absolutely right. And talking about getting it in the chat room, oh boy, they're talking about the Bethune-Cookman and the Southern University basketball game, and a lot of them saying this should have been done, this could have been done. Free throw shooting, of course, disparity in attempts by Bethune-Cookman. Although, VW says thanks, Coach Pettaway, for calling out the free throw disparity. But Coach Pettaway at home, I'm not surprised. Right, You're going to always get those extra calls, those ticky-tack calls, what have you. So you kind of don't want to put yourself in a position, at least would be my mindset, when you're coming on the road.
Yeah, but what I really like is that the Jaguars didn't allow that. The players did not allow that to come into their head. They played hard until the end. They fought all the way through, even to overtime. Even after Bethune-Cookman tied it up and went to overtime, you still saw the fight in the Jaguars. And as a coach, that's what you look for, man. You want your team to be able to compete no matter what the circumstances are. So I'm really proud of them. I think Coach Johnson has them going in the right direction. And that's just one game now. That's just one game. I don't think there's going to – I know for a fact I don't think there's going to be a team to go undefeated on the men's side in the league anyway. So that's only one game. and they can get that back. That you look down on the schedule, you say, well, we'll get that one back somewhere else, and that's what you have to do. That's the mindset that you have to have.
Yeah, Charles, I love Coach Johnson to death. So far, you can see big non-conference wins. You can to me, I actually can define the offense and see what they're doing, and so it's rather refreshing to say the least. And I see a lot of space and emotion. And T. Joseph in that Florida swing, he averaged 30 points.
Yeah,
I mean he can get after it. Now some people in the chat room are saying, sometimes maybe you could pass it. Some people are open under the basketball, but guess what? The microwave Vinnie Johnson, that's what I look at him as. He has, to me, the goal to let it fly because he can really shoot it. But Charles, your thoughts on Southern and going on the road, both women and men, getting the split.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that Florida swing is not an easy trip.
Yeah.
And I've been to Bethune-Cookman for the first time in that gym that they play in. That's a tough place to play. They're right on top of you. And so that's a tough place to play. And Coach Theus is a good coach. I think, they're going to miss Joe French, who transferred to UAPB, but it shows you that they can still find a way to score. And, Coach Pettaway, a basketball coach once told me when it comes to officiating, the calls always goes to the aggressors.
Right.
When you're aggressive and you're at home, and you are going to get more calls more times than not at home. Now, it does turn the other way, too, where sometimes the visiting team has more of those calls if the home team's not quite as aggressive. So, obviously, the free throw disparity has been something that coaches gripe about. But I think for Southern University, I think it's a lesson learned. And I think, I think you're going to see them again. I mean, I think they're coming to Baton Rouge. I think Florida teams.
Right.
So, Just put that notch on your cap. You learn from it, and you roll forward. A lot of basketball in front of you, but that Florida swing, the Texas swing, the Florida swing. I think the Florida swing is the toughest, and we got it next week. And so it's not going to be easy for any team to go into Florida and get it done. We've seen it happen. Last year we won by possession at the buzzer at Bethune-Cookman. So it is not easy to win down there, but tough deal for Southern University.
Right, and you just got to look at it this way. In basketball, at least in your division, you get that same team to come on your home floor. So, you got them coming back. So you can pick that win back up. The only thing that you got to look at, you need to pick up another road win somewhere. In other words, instead of splitting somewhere else, you got to sweep.
Well, with that being said, I could think of one place, but it's going to be tough.
Yep.
It's going to be tough, but I could not think of a better situation to get one in Lorman, Mississippi.
Right.
But that's getting ahead of myself.
And then see, Carlos,
that would make
Carlos, in a game like that, on the road, when I pick up the stat sheet as a coach, we only turn the ball over 7 times. And we score 81 points. Man, do you know that's terrific? That's a good game. You only have 7 turnovers and you put 81 points on the board. So that's a very big positive for your ball club. And then you give them that plus, but then when you go on down on your stat sheet, you say, well, fellas, we were 19 out of 28. We only shot 67% from the free throw line. So, those are things that can be corrected. You can go to the free throw line, put your free throws down. You make sure that your best free throw shooters are the ones that are going to the free throw line. So on the men's side, that was just a game that just got away from them. But on the women's side, Carlos, to me now, there were a lot of upsets, I feel, on the women's side, especially Saturday. Like I didn't think that the Southern's women would lose to Florida A&M. They lost 59-53. I did not see that coming. All right. For me now, I didn't see Grambling going into Bethune beating their women. I didn't see that. All right. I didn't see Alcorn going into Montgomery beating Bama State, where it's always tough. Now, let me just say this. I knew Alcorn could play because let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
They should have beat Alabama A&M. I just think if he had some more players, they haven't stopped. I think her name is Brown. They didn't stop her yet.
Yep.
They haven't stopped her yet. So that was a shock to me. And then, of course, the big one was Texas Southern beating Pine Bluff.
Yeah,
I didn't see
that
that
is a
coming.
big one. Yeah,
right. I did not see that coming, and all that took place on Saturday of last week, and then of course the on Monday. To me, there were no upsets. Oh yes, it was. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It was to me. It was an upset with Valley going on the road beating Texas Southern.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Now,
Valley women beating Texas Southern. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carlos.
No. Excellent point, and that's what I was telling some people. You know, I know you're upset that Southern let one get away, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's tough to win on the road. You got some tough games throughout college basketball.
Yeah.
Look, so UAPB loses to Texas Southern, then Texas Southern comes right back that Monday and lose a ball game. So to think, you know, I guess I kind of understand what they're thinking. You got let one get away, but you have an opportunity to make up for that. And nobody, as you stated, nobody's going to go through this conference undefeated.
Right.
On either side. Now, let me stop there. Some may say Jackson State women, you know, may go undefeated, but I don't think so either.
They're pretty good now.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. I'll give you that. But
man, they got Crump and Woodard, and man, it seems like they've been playing forever, man. They're still there, and they got a good mix, man. I was real impressed with them the way they went against the Lady Bulldogs, man. She got a squad now. Coach Reed has another great squad down there. And then the surprise for me for the weekend was when they canceled Prairie View and Pine Bluff on Monday. I didn't understand. Right? I didn't understand. They say weather, but how can you play in Houston and you can't play out there at Prairie View? You know that, and then in the SWAC, how you gonna make up that game? Where on the schedule can you make it up? Because
let's get on to call the commissioner and see how what's going to happen with that, you know, or the commissioner or the SWAC office. But I will say this, Coach Pettaway, UAPB and Jackson, that's one to look at.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a great game.
Now, you know, I just put myself out there. I said Jackson State women is not going to go undefeated in the conference. We'll see if I'm right. If not, I know I'll hear from the Jacksonians.
There'll be some teams that's going after them. You know, Southern's going to go after them. I think Pine Bluff, they got the size to be on the floor with them. And then I just wanted to see if Bethune-Cookman, I think I told you this, we were going to see if Bethune-Cookman's women were for real. Because you remember they put together this great non-conference schedule. They won some good games, but, you know, they're sputtering. They're sputtering coming out the gate right now. So it's going to be interesting on the women's side. But Jackson State still the only undefeated team on the women's side. Gramblin's 3-1. Your Southern Jaguars are 3-1. Pine Bluff is 2-1. And see, they should be, to be honest, they should be undefeated. So the only other team, Alabama A&M, is 3-2. They're the teams that could give them a run for their money. But after Jackson came through Huntsville, our Lady Bulldogs will have to get a lot things right to mess with Jackson State. They're so deep.
So, Coach Pettaway, we use the word competitive for this conference season, both women and on the men's side. Would that be the word best utilized?
Yes, I think so. I think so. But now you say Jackson State will not go undefeated. There's a good chance that might be true, but these teams have to play a perfect game because they're so deep. Jackson State goes deep into their bench, and they got veteran players. Right off the top of my head, you've been calling Crump and Woodard's name for seems like 5 or 6 years. And it might be 5 years because, everybody's getting that COVID year. And so they got a good squad. They got a good squad, and it's going to take an almost perfect night for a team to knock them off.
And it can happen.
Yes.
We saw it last year in the tournament action, but in the regular season, UAPB, Southern University, two that I could think about. Charles, and then we'll move on to preview this Grambling and Southern basketball game. Oh boy, always tough when you go up to Grambling State. But JSU women, they go undefeated, you think, in conference play?
Oh, you're muted. Charles, you're muted.
Charles, you have to unmute your mic.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for Jackson State's women to go undefeated. They even though they're probably as deep as they've been, you got a Valley transfer, and then you've got kid Vann, who's a TSU transfer, who's a volume scorer. They're deeper than they've been, but I just think that on certain nights that they may not all those pieces coming together. I think UAPB, I just think they got a reality check when they lost to Texas Southern, and then TSU, the hangover from that, they lose to Valley after blowing a couple of leads. Mm-hmm. So I think for Jackson State, it's going to be tough. They may do it, but I think the pathway is going to be a lot harder than it was previously when they went undefeated. I think it's going to be difficult for them, but it can happen because they've done it. And so we'll see. But I think it'll be harder this year. Too many teams down towards the bottom and in the middle tier that could challenge them. The Lady Braves were right there in the second quarter. I think UAPB will bounce back. It's too many good teams. Grambling, don't sleep on them. Their first-year coach, she's got them playing. So I think it's a lot more competitive beneath Jackson State, especially UAPB and other teams that can push Jackson State. So I think it's going to be hard for them to go undefeated.
And by the way, Dr. Cavill in the chat room said the makeup game for Prairie View, February the 15th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good,
it was
good,
announced.
good.
Thanks for that, Dr. Cavill. So with that being said, guys, we've talked about it, a very competitive conference season. Now, Grambling State and Southern University, that's just, to me, you could say that's a game to really look at on today's the schedule, both on the women's and the men's side. Charles, you just talked about it. Grambling State women playing very good right now. Southern University women only one loss. Now they go back to back to back, that road swing. Coach Pettaway, on the women's side, we know it's a rivalry game. We can throw out all the cliches we want to. I just know from a historical point of view, it's tough to go up there and get a win. What will it take for the women to get it done? And on the men's side, and you've been in this situation before as a coach with a rivalry game. Take out the emotions.
Right.
X's and O's, I'm thinking.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. You got to get rid of the emotions first. And then you got to go out there and try to play mistake-free basketball. You got to rebound the basketball. You need to win the battle of the glass. You need to win the turnover battle. They got to force. Southern's got to go in there and force turnovers. Grambling's going to be. I'm talking on the women's side. Let's talk with the women first. I just think Carlos has to go in there with the mindset that his ladies have to force Grambling into turnovers. Southern has to win the battle of the glass, and they have to shoot a decent percentage. Your scorers, your top three scorers got to be ready to play in a rival game. And then you always look. It's been during my career, I always had somebody to step up in that big game, in that rival game. Our battle against Bama State, we always had somebody to make their career in that game. And that's what you look for. And that's somebody that's on the bench or somebody you did not expect to step up and be big in the rival game. And most of the time, when they can do that in the rival game, it makes their career, Carlos. Mm-hmm. And I got several examples of that. So that could really happen on the women's side. Now, on the men's side, You look at this game. Southern's average. The Jaguars are going in there averaging 75 points a game. Gramblin's only averaging 65 points a game. So the first thing that's going to tell me, Southern needs to push the pace. They got to push. Yeah, tempo. And Joseph is leading them and scoring at 20 a game. He's got to get shots up. He's got to get shots. He's got to be the man to lead them. But my bench has to come into play. Southern has won all of their big games during the course of the year because they've had great bench play. And that's got to happen for them. And on Gramblin's side of it, they got to get points in the paint. They got Johnson down there. Averaging right at double digits. And it's Grambling has 3 people. Dozer leads them in scoring at 14 a game. You got Burnett and then Johnson right there at 9 a game. Johnson needs to get more touches in the paint. They've got to challenge Southern in the paint in order to be effective. They're playing at home, so the energy level should be in their favor. But to slow Southern down, both teams are going to want to get up and down the floor, but it's to Southern's advantage to force the quicker pace. And it's going to be a great game, and it's on HBCU Go.
There you go. Yeah. Charles and Coach Pettaway, it almost sounds like, in a way, Grambling wants to make it a half court and utilize their size advantage. Then I also heard you mention about someone off the bench. I would consider that the others.
Right.
Kind of like an NBA. The others always, we know who will be our dynamic players, but the unexpected, the others. And then you talked about tempo for Southern. It kind of reminds me of the old Lakers and Celtics games in the 80s. Boston wants to keep it a half court, run when they can. That's Grambling State. Southern University, it's kind of like the Lakers. Tempo, they want to move the ball and be quick about it. And the others. I wonder who the others will be if that's the case for Southern University.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, to me, whichever team can impose their will on the other will win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Grambling is really good at home, as we know. We just got out of there last year. We only played Grambling one time, last year. But Grambling's really, really good at home, and that crowd's going to be into it. I think there's a Southern fan bus going up there to Grambling, so some Jaguars will be there. But I think it's going to be a really tough challenge coming off the Florida swing. That's tough when you've got the long trip to Florida, and then you got to put it behind you, and you got to get ready for your big rival. I think that's tough. I think Southern has the potential to win the game, but they're going to have to play really, really well to beat Grambling at the Hobby Arena. It could happen, but typically for something like that, and I'm speaking as a Gramblingite too, I think it'll be very, very tough for both women and men. I think Grambling's women are going to get out and run. If it's a high-scoring game, I think Grambling's got it. But on the men's side, whichever team can impose their will win that men's game.
And wouldn't it be to Southern's advantage? And I guess I'm going to put on the blue and gold glasses here for a minute. I don't want refereeing officiating. Southern should attack and force some attempts to get to the free throw line, Coach Pettaway.
Right.
That's what I say on that one.
I think it's going to happen because that's Joseph's game. He likes getting to the basket. He likes putting it on the floor. That's how you draw fouls. I think he's going to be aggressive on the offensive end. That's his game. He's an aggressive player. So I think that's what's going to happen. And they just got to do more of it. That's all that is. They just got to do more of it. You got to attack, and that bench has to come into play because, Charles, that's what has helped Southern all year is their bench, and they didn't have great bench play against Bethune.
Well, Coach,
go ahead.
You sound just like Landon Bussey. This is something he has been harping and preaching and cussing and fussing about in practice all week. The aggression, the physicality. Right. And just get physical and down and dirty and nasty. I think that's kind of a game like that at the Hobby Arena, rival game. That's what it's going to take. That's what Landon Bussey's trying to employ on his ball club, to get physical, to get nasty, because Texas Southern has been in our way for 4 years. And so that's exactly what Coach Bussey is saying, and I think you're saying the same thing. Southern's got to get down and dirty and physical. They got to out physical Grambling. If they can do that and get to the free throw line, let the officials make their calls, I think Southern does have a shot.
And guys, in the chat room, I noticed they were talking about, and more so Southernites, it seems like they're concerned with Southern's lack of size, and they seem to think that kind of played a part against Bethune-Cookman. I'm not more of that on that angle, because I think Southern had the ball game and just chalk it up as a lesson learned. Will size in this game be how important would that be, Coach Pettaway?
Well, you can mitigate the size if you up tempo. Size doesn't come into play if you up tempo, because you beat them down the floor before they can set up. And I don't see Grambling walking the ball up the floor. I think this is going to be an up tempo game, and then the team that can execute their transition portion of the game is going to be the one that comes out on top. So I'm not banking on size, because I don't see Coach Jackson slowing the ball down and try to just play in a half-court game. That's why Jalen may or may not be in, a big priority in this game. If it becomes a half-court game, then Grambling's going to have an advantage with Jalen if they go to him now, because that he is proven over the 3 years that he was in this league, or however many years he was in this league, that he can score in the paint. But if you pushing the basketball, you can mitigate that size, man. That's not gonna come into play. You leave them jokers at half court, laying it up and shooting them threes. Yep. If it was me, we'd be pushing that thing, man. That would be a priority. Transition.
In other words,
walk it up with all.
In other words, Coach, Southern University, play your game.
Right.
Play your game. Be able to make adjustments if need be. And so again, back to my analogy, up tempo versus half court. I still think Grambling State, if the opportunity to run, they will want to do that. But then I think they're going to want to set up and win it by going in the post. And I think about last year in the regular season, the game was on television. That's kind of how they got they defeated Southern. Their inside game was much stronger than Southern University. Yeah, that's what Bill says. Coach Pettaway up tempo. You're absolutely right. Quickly,
Obi Trotter.
Yep, I believe in it. Always, my entire career. Let's get that thing down the floor, man.
I break out in the cold sweat just when that name was brought up. Obi Trotter, and then defense, 94 feet.
Yep.
That was A&M's defense, and I saw that personally coming into the mini dome. Guys, we kind of talked about on the women's side, upset of the week, Texas Southern over UAPB. Also, it was Grambling State, and this was January 13th. Grambling State over Bethune-Cookman by 163-62. You kind of mentioned it, Alcorn State, 7-point victory, 49-42 over Alabama State. Prairie View got back in the win column after just some horrible losses on the road. Horrible. They come back against Mississippi Valley State, 83-69. Of course, Jackson State. Thus, why Coach Pettaway felt very strongly about Jackson State.
Yep.
They took it to Alabama A&M 70-41. Then on the 15th, Texas Southern drops a 1-point decision to Valley, 70-69. Alabama A&M over Alabama State. Game played in Mobile, correct? Coach Pettaway, 66-49. It was Southern over Bethune-Cookman, 71-66. And Grambling State defeats FAMU 88-85. On the men's side, guys, any games jumped out to you other than the ones that we discussed?
Well, on the men's side, I thought one of the best teams I've seen so far it has been Jackson State's men when they came in and they beat Alabama A&M 75-67. That to me, that was a team that I felt was playing great basketball coming into the season. And then the only upset I would have looked at was Pine Bluff going into Texas Southern and beating them 70-67. You know, Pine Bluff had not been in the win column and then to go into Texas Southern. But to be honest, George Ivory always plays them tough. For some reason, George played them tough, man. And so that on the men's side, that's the game that that Saturday that would have been the one that I was looking at. I'm sorry, Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's not George Ivory. George Ivory was on the back of my mind because he would go in there Monday and lose to Texas Southern 93-61.
Yeah, boy, you kind of see so far in this season. You got to bring your A game every game.
Yeah.
And it's tough to win on the road consistently, but if you can get a split and then you take care of business at home, you put yourself in a position to be successful. Now, today, of course, Grambling State and Southern University, both women and men action on HBCU Go TV. Then you have Texas Southern at Alcorn State. That's going to be very interesting. FAMU at UAPB, Prairie View A&M at Jackson State, and then Bethune-Cookman at Mississippi Valley State. Then Monday, Bethune-Cookman at UAPB, Prairie View A&M at Alcorn State, FAMU at Mississippi Valley State, and Texas Southern at Jackson State. Guys, what game? We talked about Grambling State and Southern University, but that Texas Southern and Alcorn State game should be very interesting as well.
Coach Pettaway, you love this. I talked to Landon Bussey a little bit ago during shoot around. We beefed up in the post. And part of the reason is because Texas Southern has whooped us the last 3 years in the tournament. And he says part of the reason because we've getting whipped in the post. We got Texas Southern today, and we're going to see if our post has improved going up against TSU because they've been in our way since Landon Bussey has been here. So I think that's one of the big games. You know, we're 1-2. We've got to get it done before we head to Florida, which is not going to be easy. So I think this is one of the big games in the league. Texas Southern should be 4-0. They've blown 2 double-digit leads in their losses.
Right.
Including UAPB at home. That's very unusual. They had a 10-point lead against Southern University and lost. They had an 11-point lead against UAPB at home and lost. So TSU, very underrated. They should be 4-0. But, the Braves got to bounce back. And that was a shocker the other night, too, Coach Pettaway. We lost to Alabama State, losing a 12-point lead in the second half. So you just don't know what to expect. Jackson's playing really well right now. But let's see if we can have that same conversation in 7 days. Because it could very well change. So, hey, you just like SWAC football. You don't know what the heck's going to happen. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised either way.
Right, and PV going into Jackson today on the men's side, that's going to be a big game because PV is always very good on the defensive side of the ball. So we will see if Jackson State is for real because they got to defend their home court today. And then you're absolutely right, Charles. I think with Texas Southern going on the reservation today, you all got to be ready to play. The people need to come out and support the team. And I think if Coach Bussey, if they play like they played against Alabama A&M, they're gonna be okay. Because I saw that old fire. I saw that defense. Defense won that game for them. And if he can employ his kids to play the defense the way they changed it up so many times against Alabama A&M, I think they'll come out on top.
Well, I'm gonna say the old cliche: the team that is the most consistent, they're going to get it done. You've got to play 40 minutes. You have little lulls in those games, but if you can be consistent. Now, I'm going to say this, and then we'll be through with our number one. Alabama State, and albeit it's early, I don't think they get enough credit on the men's side. Jackson State, pretty doggone good. Charles, I sent you a text this week. if you had to rate the top 3 teams on the men's side, and albeit it's early, Coach Pettaway, top 3 men teams so far, if you would rank them, and then we'll do the women's quickly.
Okay, well, I like Jackson State. I like Southern, and to be honest, I still like Grambling.
Now, I had JSU, I had Grambling, then Southern,
right,
and Alcorn just falls a little bit short. But boy, 2 losses at Alabama State game, Charles. You seem so disappointed. I can hear it in your voice. But that's all. Those things happen.
Yeah,
you got to play all the way through. On the women's side, top 3
on the
teams.
women's side, you got to
we know
with
number 1.
Yeah. JSU's number 1, and then I'm going to also say that I think probably Grambling's women I think will still be in there, and then of course Southern, just like they are now. I think they're the top 3 teams in the league right now.
What about UAPB women? I would have them ahead of Southern.
Yeah, but they're struggling. To me, they're struggling. They shouldn't have lost. They shouldn't have lost. And then that game, the game that they did not get the chance to play against Prairie View, I think would have told the story. Could they go on the road and win against a team that could match up a little bit better with them?
Charles?
Yeah, I mean Jackson State number 1. I'm still strong on UAPB being number 2. Even though that was a hiccup against Texas Southern, and Texas Southern might be, the team no one's talking about. Coach Skeet, who played her ball here at Alcorn, I think she's got that team going a little bit. So I'm still going with UAP. I'm still bullish on UAPB number 2. I will put Southern University number 3, and number 4. I would say Grambling, but then there's a few teams that you could mix and match for that number 4 spot.
Very interesting, your guys' perspective. Charles, you got to get ready for a broadcast. We'll see you maybe in a couple of weeks because you're Alcorn's on that Florida swing next week, and I think the times will clash on that. But have a great broadcast. Coach Pettaway, you're welcome to stay on for the second hour.
Well, Carlos, I got one question for you. I know I'm gonna miss it, but I know you got Wheeler Brown coming up next. You're gonna probably talk about the Florida A&M situation.
I'm staying away from that.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will just make one quick comment from an AD's perspective. We had a situation here at Alcorn. Jay Hobson, he left to go to USM. The program was in good shape. We hired Fred McNair. The FAMU won the whole thing, Celebration Bowl and all. I thought, in my opinion, they would keep the continuity in-house. You say you're not going to really deal with it, but it was kind of surprising to me with what's going on there. I thought they would keep the hire in-house, but that's another topic, I guess, for another day.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm like a point guard because I'm from the outside looking in, and FAMU and their alums, they're in the uproar. The AD is taking all kind of bullets, arrows, all kind of stuff. I'll defer to my colleagues. Roy, Brian Fulford, AD Drew. I talk with them and get their perspective on it, but it is an absolute mess. And I told Roy this. I said I knew it was tough being at Southern University for as a board of supervisors but FAMU, they're right alongside with Southern University. So I'm going to be looking from afar, seeing what's going on. A football coach, I guess will come quickly. It should be. But get the popcorn ready. This thing is going to be very, very interesting. That's it for hour number 1. When we come back, Coach Demarcus Miller, defensive line coach for Southern University. We'll add Wheeler Brown and, of course, Coach Pettaway. You're watching the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College.
Have a good one, Charles. Network. Have a good broadcast, man.
Charles with that chant. Oh, my goodness. We'll be back. Yeah, I guess we're not going to be back.
Okay, all right.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show, right here on the Black College Sports Network, live on Instagram, of course. Coach Miller and Willa Brown, will bring both of them up in a second right here on the Coles Brown Show. Of course, Demarcus Miller, Coach Miller, a defensive line coach at Southern University, also played at Southern University, and also one of my favorite Southern University football players of all time. There's Willer, A.D. Willa Brown. Willer, you look like you're not cold, but I'm sure Baltimore is getting the cold weather like we had in the South.
It's 20 degrees here right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, you're used to it, Willer.
Give or take a degree or two. But it's okay. We got 3.5, 4 inches of snow on yesterday. And but today is just cold, and it is what it is. This is Baltimore weather, so I won't complain.
No, it won't do any good anyway. And then, of course, a big football game, a playoff game.
Definitely.
I'm interested in this afternoon. Boy, two outstanding quarterbacks, one a rookie, one an established guy.
Go Ravens. Go Ravens.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, as usual, and we'll get into it a little bit later. Charles brought up something about Alabama, but FAMU's AD situation and all of that, coaching, searching firm, all of that. We'll ask you to hold up on that. I'm sure you got some thoughts on that.
Oh, definitely, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I just don't want to touch that one. I mean, I've gone more than I said I was going to do because I don't want the orange and green alum to get on me about anything.
It is what it is, Carlos. It is what it is.
Yeah, and look, it keeps me busy being here in Baton Rouge, with Southern University. But with that being said, Coach Miller, if we can bring him in, we'll talk to Coach Demarcus Miller, defensive line coach at Southern University. Also in hour number one, we talked about Southern University's 2024 football schedule, Wheeler, and it's interesting. I think it's a good schedule. It's a tough schedule, but as an AD, you help put these type of schedules together, and you've got to remember, quality opponents. You have your conference schedule, of course, and you kind of flip from the previous year. If you played certain teams at home, you're going to go on the road. But you want the excitement. And with a new head football coach, you want things to be right.
And I think that the schedule in and of itself is not as important as everybody's anticipation in terms of what the direction is moving forward. I think probably all you guys are looking for certain things in terms of style, in terms of offensive and defensive sets and things of that nature. And so I think the excitement there will probably be there regardless of the schedule, simply because you got a new regime and everybody's kind of anxious to see what's going to happen, what's going to transpire, that sort of thing.
Well, you can see our guest, Coach Miller. Coach Miller, you're looking slim and trim. And
man, Carlos, they told me I'm not tackling them big boys no more. I don't need all that weight no more, man.
Wow! From the last time I've seen you, congratulations. Hey, and I guess you survived the cold. Willa Brown's talking about 20 degrees in Baltimore. Willa, just shame on you. You didn't have to say 20 degrees.
Willa, I would lose my mind if I was in that kind of weather.
Man, it's been cold all across the country. But Coach Miller, we appreciate the time on a busy Saturday. I know recruiting is going on, and when they knew I was going to have you on, questions coming in left and right. But I guess my first question to you is, as you can sit back and reflect on last season. And I know that's last season,
right,
but it helps you to get ready for 2024. What was your thoughts on the defensive line, your position, and overall 2023 football season?
Well, I wasn't disappointed. The disappointment is, if you don't win the ring at the end, you've lost. But when you look at from what we accomplished, the development in our second year, I thought we were a very productive defensive line. I mean, you talk about Kelby Givens, should have been Defensive Player of the Year, no doubt, with the numbers he put up. We had some guys rotate in, Cotton coming back in, after a long wait. You had some transfers coming in with Lyles, and the young guys are finally coming in, getting some run. But for just, I say throwing that group in together, I thought they played well. Back during the season before where we had 45 sacks, I think we finished this season with roughly about 30-some sacks. So we were a little down in those numbers, but I thought we developed and we became a better unit. And moving forward, I'm excited with what we have coming back.
Well, one of the questions I already was asked about was Devin Cotton. Got some eligibility left, correct?
Yes, got the word on Cotton, so he will be coming back for his final season with us, which is a big bonus for us. And so, like I said, we're going to have a solid foundation. And, with this recruiting process, we're just trying to add in a few more pieces, just to get us over that hump. But I love the way, the direction that we're going right now.
I don't know why I thought it was somebody else. Lyles, is his eligibility up?
Well, that's still in question right now.
Okay.
So there's nothing final on that, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. 2024 football schedule. I know you got so much other things to think about position-wise, but did you get a chance to peek at the schedule?
I gave it a quick look off of your page. I mean, you want to see, where you're going, where you're traveling, who's coming in. But, for the most part, you know how it is, Carlos. You're taking care of the all-season needs right now. You're getting these guys ready for this all-season workout. And that first game of the season, when summer hit, we'll tune in more on that first game.
Coach Pettaway, Willa Brown, jump in if you got a question. Look, I mean, I can ask them all, but if you guys got something to ask Coach Demarcus Miller, defensive line coach at Southern University, and by the way, played at Southern University, and I always tell the story. Doug Williams told me we couldn't block him. We could not block him, and he thought you were as every bit good as what is this guy that's on ESPN now?
Booger McFarland.
Yes, and when Coach.
No, I appreciate Coach Doug. Coach Doug Williams.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. He gave me. He always, whenever he sees me, he gives me compliments of how we used to beat that butt. But
Coach Miller, I got a question for you. How does it feel to be coaching at your alma mater? Because I had the pleasure of doing the same thing here at Alabama A&M.
Oh, Coach, it's an honor. When you play, I don't think many came in with the mindset, when I finish playing, I'm coming back here and I'm going to do it. But, I was just blessed with the group of guys that I played with, the success we had. And as a player, I was already a player's coach. I was that analytic guy, you read the numbers. So I knew coaching was going to be in my future. But the ability to come back home and do it where it all got started, it's amazing. My wife and family's from New Orleans, so we were able to come back home, and it's just one big family reunion. And they love me now, but until we put that ring on, I'm just that dude that came back.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to come home. I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wheeler.
What's the biggest challenge, Coach?
The biggest challenge is the expectations, especially the staff that we have. We basically have a staff that was part of all those championships here. And so, people expect, hey, you guys did it then. It should be easy for you guys to come back and do it now. But I'm telling you, the game of college football has changed tremendously. There's many challenges that, we have to overcome. But, we like that. We're built for that. And I love a challenge. But other than expectations, I don't see a big deal for us, but that's what we do.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, what's your philosophy on the portal?
On the portal, I actually like the portal. For one, I know it hurts the high school guys, but, when we played, you were stuck, and
right.
If you transferred, you had to sit out a year. And so for the guys to have the chance to come in and compete and play, I don't have a problem with it, I would hate for a person to get stuck in a situation where they can't move and can't play. So I like it. It has its pros and it has its cons. You're basically recruiting your own team every year.
Boy, that's an understatement. Yeah, every year we visit with Coach Demarcus Miller, defensive line coach at Southern University. Now, I was able to see somebody was in the chat room looking. And the new head football coach at Southern University.
Oh, that guy. That
guy. Coach Graves, what is it like working with Coach Graves, now the head football coach?
I tell you, I called him T for the last 20-some years, so now he's Coach Graves. But Coach Graves, I love him. He coached me when I played here back in 1996. So we have that relationship going back then. And I've always seen it in him. He's always desired to lead. He's always been that leader. He has a different style. He has a different personality. But what I love about him is he's going to be who he is. Sometimes people get in that seat and they typically change to try to fit what people expect him to be. But I love Coach Graves. He's going to be him. He's going to tilt that hat to the side. He's going to be who he is, and you can't do nothing but love and respect him. And he loves what he does. He loves us. He allows us to do what we do. So, I love it. I love him.
Now, if we look at, and I agree with Coach Graves, we had him on a couple of weeks ago, spring season, 2024 football season, what are some of your kind of short-term goals for the D line to achieve coming in the spring and in the 2024 football season?
Well, as a D line, I have one mission that I preach since day one I started coaching. Our motto is penetration equals domination. And so we're focusing on we want to get bigger, stronger, and faster, obviously in that weight room, but we want to focus on being explosive off the ball, creating a new line of scrimmage. Once you get that going, everything else takes care of itself. So we're going to do those things that's going to allow us to be dominant. You know, Coach Gray's motto is dominate the day. I've always been to my guys, we're going to dominate every day, every play. And if you're going to be a disruptive defensive line, it starts with penetration. And so penetration equals domination. They hear it all day, every day from me. And so everything we do will be predicated to accomplishing that goal.
Now, schematically, will y'all tinker with it? Will you still go with the same base that you had last year, or will you look to add or implement some new things without giving out?
Oh, absolutely. You know, every season after the season, we go back and we evaluate ourselves. You know, we do it basically our own self scout. But I thought we have a solid defense, so we're going to stick with the 4-2-5. I don't think we're changing our base. But however, you know, Coach Graves has us going out visiting different programs during this off season. You know, it's always good to pick brains of guys that do it on different levels and do it at a higher level. So we'll be doing those type of things. But without a doubt, the Dog Day D was a pretty solid team, and we just want to build on that. We don't want to change what we've been doing.
Coach Miller, in February, are you looking to sign any more defensive linemen?
I am. I'm bringing in a total of 5, and we're trying to get at least 3 in for the spring semester. So we're working on that. We have a big recruiting weekend coming up next weekend. We have about 11 guys coming up. So we've had some solid visits, some solid recruits, a few commitments. So yes, I would definitely love to have them. But if I don't, the guys that we have here, it's their opportunity to make sure that they stay here.
That's very interesting. Big recruiting weekend next weekend. Is it more so you look at junior college? You mentioned about the portal. How about high school? Any in that group that you're looking to bring in from the high school defensive line?
Yeah, we have a few high school guys coming in. Right now, it's need. Everything is need based right now. But yeah, coach has definitely mixed in. I think we've signed a few high school, or we're going to sign a few high school guys. So it's a good mixture. But right now, it always starts on every level. Your big boys, you know, O line, D line, you know, guys that come a dime a dozen. You got to be able to get them. But there definitely have some good high school guys that we have in that mix that are committed to us, and it's going to be a good little group of guys that we're going to bring in.
Now, you're a native of Houston, Texas, right? So absolutely. I would think that what is the area, if you can answer that, what kind of area that you recruit in? And then too, I'll follow it up with like I asked Coach Graves.
Oh,
when you say local, you're not just talking about Baton Rouge, but the state of Louisiana?
Correct.
Is that considered local? Okay.
Yeah, so the whole staff, we're basically split apart with all of Louisiana from top to bottom, to north, central, all the way. So Louisiana is our primary spot, and then each of our coaches have our out-of-state spots. Yes.
Well, I think you should go up to Huntsville, where you see where Coach Pettaway is at, and look at that area.
As long as it's not all that snow, I'll go.
and then Willis in Baltimore.
No, I don't want that assignment. Y'all can have that assignment, I tell you that. These 18 degrees we had the last couple of days was killing me, so I can imagine what it is up there.
Yeah, tell me about it. We're visiting with Coach Demarcus Miller, defensive line coach at Southern University. You mentioned about Kelby Givens, and I can think of him, and I think of the young man at Alabama State. You know, the politicized or the political conversation about who they thought should have, you know, gotten an award. Is that motivation? I know maybe it's perhaps motivation for Kelby coming back, but how about his position coach and his coaches? Is it motivation as well? Although, you know, you don't vote in it, but is that motivation for them to come back and even have a better year?
I like to use it to challenge them, but my deal is I want four defensive linemen to receive awards. That's my motivation. How can I coach those guys up where we can have 4 all-conference players dominate the SWAC? So that's my motivation. So I have to step my game up. I was only able to get 1. So that's motivation for me. But those guys see that as well. And Kelby's a hard worker. And to be honest with you, he don't need any extra motivation because he's a self-starter and he's going to be the first one there, the last one there. But so it's just, I like to challenge him. I told him I still have the record at Southern University for tackles for loss with 21. And so he tied me this year.
Okay.
So he's motivated to beat me. And I told him, hey, as much as I like records, I want you to beat me too. You better believe that.
Hey, that's outstanding.
Hey, Coach Miller, if you had to pick between the two, would you rather play against a passing team or a running team? If you had to pick.
I want a run team. I like to get down and physical. I like to beat you into submission. And so when you're trying to run that rock, I'm going to get down and dirty with you. I'm going to make sure we're going to dominate. Remember what I told you? Penetration equals domination. And we're going to dominate you and force you to quit. So no, run on me.
Yeah.
Run on me if you want to.
Now look, I see Wheeler smiling because he's a former offensive lineman. There's the clash right there.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. We want to run it.
Come on down, baby. Line down. My motto is line down.
That's all right.
And Coach Miller, with the schedule coming out and some of the big games coming up and the other teams in the conference, programs are changing head coaches. I've been one to always fight, from the bully pulpit, if I can use that analogy, but for the position coaches to get better paid, to get recognized more, get more opportunities when head coaching positions open up. What do you think about the state of football in the conference? I know you said it's changed and college football has changed, but how do you see now some of the programs that you coach against, that you played against, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you see some of those programs, they're investing back into the program. Mm-hmm. And my deal is this: if you're not investing back into your program, you're losing. You're setting yourself up for failure. You talk about coaching salaries. You're getting quality coaches. I know they say black folks always want the hookup, but you can't do the hookup all the time. You got
to pay.
Yeah, you have great coaches and you have great assistant coaches. Typically it's the head coach that gets all the money, and then your assistant coaches get it how they live. But no, I believe there has to be some type of thing put in place where you take care of the guys that take care of you. You got to realize I spend more time at that field house than I do with my own family. And, so we invest a lot of time, a lot of energy, and yeah, we would like to be compensated. Mm-hmm. But I tell all the time, my God takes care of me. I'm blessed. I don't starve. I know it may look like I'm starving because I lost all this weight, but we're well. But no. There has to be something to do to take care of us assistant coaches because we put in just as much time and much work as the head man.
Right. I would agree because we've talked about it on this show, and that's why I like having Wheeler and Coach Pettaway. Coach Wheeler on the administrative side, and I throw things off with Wheeler. He'll spank me at times when I get too emotional, but just kind of looking at the different perspectives. That's what I like about having these two gentlemen on. So I just felt like I had to ask that, Coach Miller, not trying to start any mess or anything like that. But I just think position coaches really let's take care of them because they spend a lot of time, as you said.
You better believe it.
With those players.
You better believe it.
You know what? For every great head coach that you have, a good head coach that you got, those assistants are the ones that make that head coach. And a lot of times people don't understand that.
And I try to explain that to people that are outside the sport to understand it. I say, yeah, man, I love all the head coaches, but you got to realize we're the one in there in the film study. We're the one with the kids. We're the one. We put in that time. Granted, that head coach has done what he did to sit in that seat, and that's great, and that's granted. But let's not forget the little guys, so to speak, the worker bees, because we're the ones that's putting in the work, and we should get compensated.
Right. You guys are the ones that make a coach great.
Absolutely.
You guys are the nuts and bolts of what's going on in any sports. The assistant coaches make the head coach.
Absolutely.
And it's not enough being given to that. Now, Coach, real quickly, do you have you seen from the time that you played as a student athlete, can you see how the student athlete has changed, particularly in football?
Yeah, they're all entitled now. Everything has been given to them, and now with the NIL deals and all that, heck, you got those they make more money than I do.
Right.
As the assistant coach. So it's changed the game. And granted, trust me, I don't have any issues with NIL deals. Heck, I wish I had it when I was playing. I know I could have had a little money in my pocket. Yeah. But the deal is now they're so comfortable, and I'm not talking about us because we don't have big NIL deals. But you look at those big programs where these guys are making $1 million quarterbacks and making kind of money like that. Now where's the motivation? I have the money, and most time you're making more than your coaches. What is your motivation to get to the next level or to be great? So if you're not naturally a self-starter, when you put that money in your pocket, you're in trouble.
Yep.
Well said. Well said. And that's been discussed throughout college football. Wheeler, I think you can almost say amateurism is gone.
Yeah, it is
from college athletics.
It is, and to revert back to something that Coach Miller was talking about in terms of the salaries for the assistant coaches. We got to put that onus back on the head coach a little bit more in terms of, the head coach forcefully going to administrators and look, I got to do a better job of taking care of my guys, that sort of thing. And, I know while the head coach, probably deserves every dime that they're getting. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. But at some point in time, got to look at the guys that get me where I need to go, and nobody does that more than assistant coaches, and we all have to do a better job in terms of recognizing that from an administrative point of view, but the head coach has got to be the catalyst on that. He's the one that's got to go into that guy's office or, go into the AD's office and like, look, I got to do a better job of taking care of my people. Y'all got to help me here. That sort of thing. And nothing more than a few more dollars.
Right.
Every little bit helps. There's no doubt about that. It will probably never be enough, but just knowing that, you've gone in there and fought for me, that sort of thing. And, that's worth its weight in gold right there alone.
And you hit it on point. That's the biggest deal. Sometimes they may not be able to get it, but just show us that we're important enough that you're willing to open your mouth and make that effort. I mean, heck, if all you can give me is a 3-piece chicken shack, I'll take that. But just let me know you value what we bring to the table. And because, like you said, we're gonna work our butt off for you anyway. And the coach, especially, I can speak about our staff. I know every coach in our staff. It's not about the money, because if it was about the money, I'll still be in Texas doing what I was doing before I came here. It's about, we love Southern University. Southern is giving so much to me. That's the only reason I came back, because I want to see my school back on the mountaintop. And I know that's from Coach Wallace and Coach Scott and all these Southern, Coach Nivens and Southern alumni. So we're going to pour in regardless of what the situation is. But granted, trust me, we do want a little extra coins in our pocket.
No doubt. No doubt.
Right.
No doubt about it.
And then a lot of times what we're seeing now, the head coaches, they're getting it in that initial contract where their assistant coaches' salaries have to come with theirs. And then I think that's one of the great things, because I know every contract I did, I included my assistant coaches.
Right.
And I think that more and more head coaches are doing that now, because you got to do it on the front end, because at a lot of our schools, you cannot take that word of mouth. You got to get it in writing.
Right.
And you got to do it on the front end.
Right.
In order to hold their feet to the fire.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not only do you have to do it on the front end, Coach Pettaway, there's no doubt about that, but after you've had very successful seasons,
right,
and you got a little bit more oomph about you now, it's time to walk in there and, look, I need to take care of my guys, that sort of thing. If it's no more than a few dollars here and there, you guys got to help me, take care of these guys. If not, we're going to lose them. And we're going to lose all the progress that the program has made.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I would agree. Coach Miller, we appreciate the time. Last but not least, any decision on spring practice, when it's going to start?
Coach has given the date. I don't remember the date offhand, but it has been set for spring ball and the spring game. So Coach Graves has all that information ready to release whenever he's ready to release it.
Yeah, I understand that. I can just ask him. He'll tell me either yay or nay.
Right.
I won't give you the information just yet, and then sometimes we'll just wait for the official release. I just want to say this to you, Coach Miller. I appreciate the time as always. Whenever I ask, I know you're busy. I try not to bother you too much.
Carlos, you and I go way back. Anytime you need me, I'm here.
I appreciate that, and I just have to realize that hey, those guys are busy. They got a family. Your family is just so precious. I remember the oldest child, and just like that, now you've got some more added to the to the family. But
we growing a little bit. Matter of fact, as soon as I get off here, I gotta go. All three of them are in basketball, so I gotta go watch them play basketball today. So whenever I get off day, it's no off day. I gotta give them that time. So they're waiting for me to come watch them.
Smart children, great sport.
Oh yeah,
trust me, my son's been on me. He's ready to find him a tackle league out here, so I got to find him a league. He said, "I'll do this basketball stuff right now until you find me somebody I can hit."
There you go.
Well, on that note, and that's a good note, we appreciate the time, Coach Miller. We look forward to talking with you again, and much success. Continue to keep grinding, and the best days are still ahead for you and your family.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Carlos, Coach Brown, Coach Pettaway. You guys have a great show, and I look forward to talking to you guys later.
All right. Thank you, Coach Miller.
Good luck, man.
Good luck.
That was Coach Demarcus Miller here on the Carlos Brown Show. And I'll tell you something else. We didn't talk about it, but you talking about somebody that can barbecue.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh, my. On that note, we're well overdue for a timeout. When we come back, Wheeler, Charles Edmond, he brought up the FAMU situation. If you want to speak on that,
I'll touch on it. Gladly. I'll gladly touch on it.
I'm just going to observe. And then, of course, last week we kind of talked about Coach McNair and, now kind of in a no man's land, but I think he will land somewhere. We also talked about last week, Texas Southern hired, of course, their football coach. And then, of course, we're in the middle of basketball season, some good conference games going on. We'll rehash that again as well. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return shortly.
Yes, we're not.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Coach Vann Pettaway, A.D. Wheeler Brown, of yours truly, Coach Brown. Wheeler, the FAMU situation, boy, it is, when I say it is I said a mess. I could use some more adjectives, but I better be careful. But that situation, you wanted to give some thoughts on it.
It could have been, a Fred McNair situation very easily. And I had an opportunity to talk with Coach Gibbs about a week or so ago, on some things, and I won't divulge, our particular conversation, but it came close to being a Fred McNair type situation, and he was lucky that he was able to quote unquote go back to Fort Valley and not be kind of left out there in the cold. Had the AD from Fort Valley had a short list and had moved on in terms of looking to hire that next guy, that sort of thing. He could have easily have been a Fred McNair type of situation. But I mean, at the end of the day, Carlos, when you're a first-time athletic director, somebody gotta be there to help guide you also. You know, Dr. Robinson, the president at FAMU, he's been through some coaching searches before, I'm sure. He's been at FAMU for a hot minute or two. It just seems like the AD could have gotten more guidance from some other areas in terms of, what the process would entail, that sort of thing. But now to spend $50,000, $60,000 for a search firm unnecessarily, I would add. It just seems to be, I don't know. You're trying to appease a lot of people, and in the end, Carlos, you're not going to be able to do so. We talk all the time about the AD's power, quote unquote. We see that it's not as great as we all would like for it to be. Uh, it's like I said, it was just a lot of missteps there. Hopefully they get it right and get the person in that they need to get in. It's touchy. It is touchy.
Hey, Coach Wheeler Brown, what's the possibility of the search firm having the same recommendation that the AD had?
And that's a possibility. That's a possibility, Coach Pettaway. And I would say this, for it to have gotten to the point where, there was a contract moving forward on Coach Gibbs, somebody had okayed that, or at least there was a thought that, okay, this will probably be a good hire for us, that sort of thing. I don't think it was just the AD's decision alone. When Coach Gibbs interviewed, I'm sure his interview just wasn't with the AD. And from what I'm told, I think the president was in on the interview and somebody else was in on the interview. And, everybody at the end of the day pretty much thought that, this could probably be our guy. And, so it wasn't a thing of, I don't think, totally the AD saying, okay, this is my guy, this is who I want. I think there were some other hands in the soup, some other cooks in the soup, so to speak. But as I stated previously, at the end of the day, we say this all the time, Carlos, the AD is the one that's going to get the flack when it's all said and done. And so it all related back to the athletic director in terms of, she didn't do this, she didn't do that, the whole 9 yards with that. So I mean, it's touchy, Coach Pettaway, definitely.
Right.
Because I look at, from the outside looking in, players want someone, elevated from within. Then you have the alumni association. They have their thought process on who should be hired. So basically, the AD's in the middle. Then you got a circle all the way around. Everyone has their take, who they want. You're right.
But I mean, Carlos, we talk all the time about what is it that we're looking for when we want to hire a particular coach for a sport. What is it? What's the criteria? Apparently for her, it has something to do with head coaching experience, which I would think separated Gibbs from, maybe some of the other candidates that she was pretty much looking at. And, so my thought is that, if that was the quote unquote deal breaker, then I'm harping on that particular facet of the job description. Nothing against the guys that are already at FAMU or anything like that. Nothing against what the kids want or anything like that. It's just that I feel that, a vital criteria, a vital part of this thing is successful head coaching experience. And that's what this guy brought to the table that apparently nobody else on my list brought. So that weighed heavily enough for me to where I thought that we should be able to move forward based off of that. Everything else being equal, Carlos. The main criteria or the main thrust of everything would have been that head coaching experience. So and if the AD had come across with that particular notion and harped on that particular notion, and put that out there for alums and put that out there for the whole world to see in terms of justifying her particular actions, then maybe this whole thing would have come off differently. Maybe some folk would have seen, where she was coming from, that sort of thing, as opposed to, I know Coach Pettaway, and I've been around Coach Pettaway for a long time. He's my boy, and I'm a hire him because I feel comfortable with him. That sort of thing.
Right.
So you got a campaign as an athletic director. You got a campaign for your hire. If I want to hire Coach Pettaway for a position, and I know there may be some obstacles out there or some people out there that may not want me to do that, I got a campaign for Coach Pettaway.
Sounds like a lobbyist.
I got to let the world know why Coach Pettaway is my pick. What is it about Coach Pettaway that is perfect for my kids? What he brings to the table, the whole 9 yards. And I got to harp that at every stop. Everybody that I run into that's an alum or what have you, I got to preach that 24/7 till they feel my passion in terms of, how good I feel about Coach Pettaway being my pick for my particular position. And I don't think that happened.
Right. And Will, I'm going to tell you one of the other problems that I can see also. If the athletic director is not directly involved with that hire, how are they going to supervise that person? Because that coach could take the attitude, well, you didn't hire me. And to me, that it creates a problem with the dynamics, I think. I think it creates a problem with the dynamics when you're not allowing that athletic director to have full control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it messes with the morale of your program, of all your staff members.
It does. And you had the young man on last week, Carlos, the player, Beauplain.
Yeah.
Well, and he was talking about how he wished they listened to the players a little more, that sort of thing. And that part plays a big part. It really does. But like I said last week, there are a lot of things that the players aren't privy to, You know, there's a lot of things that happen under the table or around the corner or, you know, through the back door, that sort of thing that they aren't privy to, you know. So it's not that you are not paying attention to what they're saying, you know, it's just that, you know, you have a vision for that program also, you know, and you, through your expertise in terms of your administrative skills, that sort of thing, you know pretty much what you want for the entire program.
Right.
You know, the kids being an integral part of that, Carlos, but there's so much other things that go into play with that also. And you got to try to find that best fit for all those facets, okay, and not just one or two items that check the box. And so that kind of makes a difference.
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting because we've also discussed about ADs having a direct hire. Then we talked about the process with search committees and what have you. From the outside looking in, she, being the AD at FAMU, can she be effective going forward? It just seems like from the outside looking in, it just seems like she's got daggers coming at her from every direction. Where do you see her going? I mean, does she?
Well, some of the wounds are self-inflicted, Carlos.
Well, no, I
You know,
understand
some
that.
of the wounds are self-inflicted. So, you know, you can't just sit back and say, nobody can sit back and say, well, they did me wrong. You know, because there was a more amicable way to handle that whole situation that may have been favorable for everybody involved.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Good point. How effective can she be going forward? Albeit you say some self-inflicted wounds. How does she come out of this?
She got some healing to do. I mean, there's no doubt about that. She got some healing to do. She's got to show the alums that, you know, transparency is the order of the day, you know, and I don't know what she does now in terms of meeting with folk and meeting with alums and all that sort of thing. But whatever it is, it's got to be ramped up 2- and 3-fold. You know, she's got to get out there at every opportunity and, you know, let folk know what her vision is for the programs, that sort of thing. And, you know, it's all about, she's got to mount a campaign now for herself. You know, with the alums, with the constituents, you know, the whole 9 yards. She's got to do that now. She's got to put that, you know, that plan together and get it out there and push it and stay with it, stick to her guns, and, you know, and keep it moving from there. You know, and her and the president have got to be on the same page. Because without that, ain't nothing gonna happen.
Now, Willa, let me ask you this: with this search firm, do you think they would put Coach McNair in the mix?
If they're smart, they should. And all this depends on whether or not Coach McNair want to be in the mix.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
You know, if I'm him right now, and I'm looking on the outside looking in, I don't know that I want to be involved with that. You know, I mean, it's a job. It's a job. And you know, you have to look at it like that.
Is it a good fit?
But
Would it be a good fit?
At the same time, you know, he's probably looking at the longevity factor, that sort of thing. He's got to put his toe in the water, Coach Pettaway, and test the temperature of what's going on. You know, so while he may be asked to send forth his documentation and all that sort of thing, I'm sure in his mind he's probably saying, do I really want to be involved with this? Is this going to be an advantageous situation for me? You know, his I's and T's got to be dotted and crossed. He got to make sure FAMU checks all the boxes for him. You know, and not the other way around.
Because whoever the coach is, you got to look at this. You got signing date coming up here in a few weeks. In what, 3 or 4 weeks? In February is the signing date, right? You don't have a coach. You don't have a coach or a staff in place to get this is the last of the recruiting cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have anybody in place. I don't even think, to me, they haven't looked at that. They're sacrificing the next recruiting class.
You can pretty much throw this one out the window.
Right.
You can pretty much throw that one out the window. You know, come February 7th or what have you, their goal is just to have named a coach. They will feel that they've been successful if they have a coach in place by February 7th. That's their goal right now. You know, nobody's really given any thought to, you know, how many kids are we going to be able to sign, that sort of thing. They'll get a few kids, Coach Pettaway, simply because they're FAMU, you know, and, you know, a few kids that are interested, that sort of thing. So I would think that probably maybe 7 or 8, maybe 10 kids may sign on signing day. You know, but in terms of the big name kids, that sort of thing, you can pretty much throw that one out the window. I don't think there's any doubt about that at all.
And the kids that fit your philosophy, that's out the window.
Yeah.
Because you had some kids already decommit who committed. Then Coach Willie Simmons is gone. Now they decommitted. No coaches in place.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put a button in this part right here. I'm almost tempted to ask a question and get a comment, but I can do it quickly, I believe. FAMU and Southern University, not for the faint of heart if you want to coach there, specifically in football. And then I'm looking at basketball, men's. Well, is that right? They're on a long losing streak. They got a new women's basketball coach at FAMU. Coach Pettaway, how about on the men's side?
Well, real quick, that's going to be tough. But I know we only got like 2 minutes left. Now, right now, Grambling is beating Southern 41-15 with only a few minutes left in the second quarter.
Wait a minute, 41-15.
41-15, and Grambling's at the free throw line right now with 2 minutes and 18 seconds. So now you only got about 2 minutes left.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I would pull out my hair if I had any. Unbelievable. I always knew it was tough there, but my goodness, 41. Whoa. Well, I did say historically it has been tough going there. Oh, my goodness. My goodness.
Wow.
Recapping quickly, 2024 Southern University, on that news, football schedule for Southern University was released. Also, we talked about the Bayou Classic on the basketball court. As Coach Pettaway just stated, for Southern women, it is run for the border. After just in the first half. Also, we visited with defensive line coach at Southern University, Demarcus Miller, outstanding coach, family guy. And also we talked about position coaches and how they are so important and they need to be compensated financially. Also, on the Black College Sports Network today, of course, Albany State and Benedict, the doubleheader, women's and men's basketball. 3 p.m. Eastern, Clark and Edward Water, doubleheader, women and men's basketball. And then at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Morehouse and Savannah State, all on the Black College Sports Network. We got less than a minute left. Coach Pettaway, closing thoughts.
Well, I look forward to a great day of college basketball here in the SWAC, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Willer?
Well, you know, unfortunately, Carlos, when one HBCU has a problem, you know, it's indicative of all HBCUs. And, you know, the incidents that has happened, you know, here with FAMU and, you know, the other schools, such as Southern, that sort of thing, unfortunately, it shines a negative light on all of us. And so we've got to do a better job overall in terms of rectifying these types of issues.
And as I will always say, HBCUs are still relevant, and we need them to be both financially, academically strong. And 1,000 years from now, we won't be here, guys, but those universities still will be needed, and they still need to be across the board a great place of academic learning and athletic ability as well. Want to thank Melody, Roy, Brian, Fulford, everybody. Continue the conversation in the chat room until next Saturday at 11 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Until next time, as always, I'm looking for Charles. He's not here. Peace and God bless.